Hey guys, welcome back to another Lost Ark build video. Today I'm going to be going over the Deadeye, which is the male counterpart to Gunslinger, which I've covered previously. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, I'll leave a card at the top right hand side of the screen right now, so you can go click it and watch that video as well. Anyway, even though Deadeye and Gunslinger share a large portion of their identity as a class as well as their skills and movesets, they actually play completely differently, and because of that they're also built completely differently as well. As a reminder, this video is meant to be taken as a guide or a sort of bible of what a perfect Deadeye build would look like, so just use it as a goal and slowly work towards it. Now, let's hop straight into it. As always, let's start with stat prioritization. As a Deadeye, you're going to want 75% of your stats to go into specialization, which is going to massively increase your shotgun skill damage and your pistol crit damage, which is the source of all of our damage. Now, for the remainder of your stats, it depends. If you're in tier 1, tier 2, and even early on into tier 3, aka if you're not 1370, your secondary stat should be crit. However, once you get into the later part of tier 3 and you can start using relic accessories and you have access to like the Argos armor set, you can swap the crit for swiftness instead. So basically use a spec crit necklace until you can get the Argos set, and once you have that you can swap into a spec Swift necklace, and you're going to want spec on all of your accessories. Now let's talk about class bonuses. You have two options, enhanced weapon and pistolier. Now pistolier isn't as garbage as other people might make it out to be. If anything, it's a much easier way to play Deadeye. However, you kind of need to have a lot of max level engravings to actually deal decent damage, and even then the DPS and stagger from enhanced weapon builds is much stronger. So because in this channel we are optimal, we will be focusing on enhanced weapon as our class bonus. This is a fair warning though, because enhanced weapon Deadeyes are very difficult to play. You're already extremely squishy, literally one of the lowest armor coefficients, if not the lowest armor coefficient in the game, and now you will be forced to play at melee range to make the most out of your shotgun skills, while also having to rely on back attacks. So please cope with this fact if you actually wish to play Deadeye. The good thing is that you only need one level of it to fit into your build, so you'll be able to slot this pretty early on, and you can start learning the playstyle very early on as well. Now onto our engravings. At first, you're going to want to try to aim for a 3-3-3-1 setup, with your main engravings being Grudge 3, Bushmaster 3, Adrenaline 3, and Enhanced Weapon 1. This will give you 15% crit rate from Adrenaline, and you rely on back attacks, so having 25% extra damage is absolutely huge, and again, you only need one level of Enhanced Weapon. Later on, when you have late game relic accessories, you'll be able to run Grudge 3, Cursed All 3, Bushmaster 3, Keen Blunt 3, Adrenaline 2, and Enhanced Weapon 1. You'll still have 10% crit from Adrenaline as well as the increased attack power, but now you can have Keen Blunt 3, which if you're critting most of the time is going to make you deal a lot more damage. Next, let's talk about skills. For this, I'll divide it into two categories: raid skills, which you'll use in Guardian raids, Abyssal raids, and Legion raids, and skills for Chaos Dungeons and Chaos Legion gates and stuff like that. I'm gonna start with 268 skill points, which you should have if you've done any side quests at all while leveling. For raids, you're gonna want to use Sign of Apocalypse with Close Shot, Enhanced Shot, and Approach to Apocalypse, Shotgun Rapid Fire with Close Shot, Enhanced Shot, and Special Bullet, Shotgun Dominator with Close Shot, Weak Point Detection, and the Ruler, and Last Request with Quick Prep and Execution. The reason I recommend Execution is because it guarantees that you are within close shot range for your other shotgun skills when you reposition yourself behind a boss. Shotgun Rapid Fire also pushes you back when you use it, so it does kind of put you out of that range at times, so ideally you'd want to walk right up to a boss's ass, use Rapid Fire, and then you can use Last Request to gap close, and then use your other skills. Or you can gap close initially with Last Request, use Dominator and Sign of Apocalypse, and then use Rapid Fire last. Either way, it is essential to maximizing your DPS in those small windows when you get to back attack. Moving on to your rifle skills. Just make sure you have Spiral Flame, Catastrophe, and Perfect Shot, because they do a decent amount of stagger and a little bit of damage for being filler skills. For your pistol skills, you're going to want to use the Grenade with Weakness Exposure to keep that 10% crit debuff. The debuff from the skill lasts 8 seconds, and the ability only has a 6-second cooldown, so it does have a 100% uptime. You're also going to want to use Quick Shot with Swift Fingers, Initiate Shot, and Final Light, Cruel Tracker with Swift Fingers, Rapid Fire Enhancement, and Explosive Bullet, Dexterous Shot with Somersault Shot for for mobility, and then you have 2 filler skill slots and enforce execution for your counter. For your 2 filler slots, you can choose equilibrium for damage, and then you can choose either meteor stream or deathfire if you need stagger. Whichever you pick, it's completely up to you. However, you have enough to level one of these 3 skills up to level 4. I personally recommend that you either choose weakness exposure on equilibrium because that debuff lasts 12 seconds, which is a really long time, or light footwork for enforce execution, which is what I do because it makes you move a lot faster and it increases the speed at which your counter comes out, which is super handy. At max skill points, you'll want your raid build to look more or less like this. I also want to make a note that you can swap out Cruel Tracker at level 10 for Equilibrium at level 10 if you so wish. In my experience, it's perfectly fine. Equilibrium does a little bit less damage, but it does come out a lot faster, and it also applies a debuff when you have it leveled anyway. So it's up to you, that's just my personal preference. Now for your Chaos build, you're still not going to level any of your rifle skills, but for your shotgun skills, you'll want to use Shotgun Rapid Fire with full range, Enhanced Shot, and Special Bullet, Shotgun Dominator with full range, Enhanced Shot, and Master of CQC, Last Request with Quick Prep, Massive Explosion, and Double Shot, and for your pistol skills, you're going to want to max out Equilibrium with Weakness Exposure, Enemy Raid, and Vital Point Shot this time, Deathfire with Keen Strike, Flame Bomb, and Infinite Decimation, and you're also going to want Spiral Tracker with Weakness Exposure because you're trying to debuff as many mobs as possible. So this does have a wider AoE and it does linger a little bit, so enemies that walk into it get debuffed as well. You'll also want Dexterous Shot with Agile Movement, and Enforce Execution and Somersault Shots for movement in general, and Quick Shot and the Grenade as filler skills. At max skill points, you're going to want your Chaos build to look more or less like this. For your Awakening skill, you can use either one. They're both really good. Bursting Flare does have higher stagger and damage, however you do need to land all 3 shots for that to be true, and sometimes it is kind of hard to land all 3 of them when the boss is moving around and everything. So if you're just holding it for the whole fight and you only get to use one because you're waiting for the perfect time, Clay Bombardment is a little bit better since it does come out quicker. It is easier to land, so pick the one that's right for you, the one that's right for the fight. I typically just default to using Bursting Flare, but that's just my personal preference. Now let's quickly talk about runes. For Equilibrium, Deathfire, and all of your shotgun skills, you'll want to slot Gale Wind, except for Last Request in which you'll slot Overwhelm since it is the ability with the most stagger in your kit. You're also going to want Rage on your Dexterous Shot to proc it as often as possible, and Quick Recharge on your Grenade, and Bleed on Spiral Tracker. One thing I want to note about general gameplay for Deadeye is that if you throw the grenade, you actually get the debuff for 8 seconds total, even though it shows 7 because the icon will essentially not have a second displayed on the last one. But 8 seconds is actually long enough to swap and use all of your shotgun skills in one go without any swiftness, and this is also the same amount of time that the enhanced weapon buff lasts, so you can have both buffs every single time off of one grenade throw. You cannot, however, reset or extend the duration of the debuff with a different skill. The game will just use the debuff with the longest duration. So if you use the grenade and then Spiral Tracker, it will not extend it or refresh it, and if you use Equilibrium for the debuff, you will also not be able to extend it with the grenade unless the remaining time on the ability that you debuff with is shorter than the debuff that you are reapplying, in which case it will just register over the remainder of the buff. But that's it guys, that's my build guide for Deadeye, and I believe it is truly optimal, and like I said, just use this as a bible of what to work towards. If you guys want to play, link to my Discord is in the video description as always, and let me know in the comments what you guys would like to see next. Also check out my buddy Kosta on Twitch. I will leave a link to his stream in the video description. He's a really cool guy and he's helped me out doing some carries for my alts, so go ahead and give him a follow. Anyway, that's going to be it for me guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.